Donnie and Teresa. The Beattyville Hillbillies, everyone's favorite Moonshiners duo, in the misty hollows of Beattyville, Kentucky, where the crickets hum like banjos and the fog rolls in thicker than a mason jar of mash. Donnie and Teresa Callahan have become living legends, not just in Lee County, but across the nation. With a still that's as famous as a rock star's tour bus and personalities bigger than a Smoky Mountain sunrise, Donnie and Teresa have turned backwoods bootlegging into full-blown entertainment on Discovery Channel's hit show Moonshiners. They ain't just Moonshiners, they're the Beattyville Hillbillies. Love, mash, and moonshine long before the cameras rolled. Donnie was a third-generation Shiner with hands tough as bark and a heart full of mischief. He'd been running White Lightning since he was knee-high to a still, learning the secrets of mash fermentation from his granddaddy and sneaking through the woods with jugs strapped to his back like a Prohibition-era Santa Claus. Teresa, on the other hand, was a spark in a powder keg. Born and raised just a ridge over, she had red clay in her veins and sass in her soul. Folks say she was distilling herbal remedies and homemade wine before she could legally buy it. When she met Donnie at the Beattyville County Fair, he was showing off his latest water filtration system, and she was selling homemade blackberry jam. It was a match made in moonshine heaven. They married 2 months later, with mason jars for champagne glasses and a wedding cake soaked in peach shine. That was 20 years ago, and they've been bootlegging, bickering, and boisterously loving each other ever since. The Moonshiners de Botwen, the Moonshiners producers, came sniffing around Kentucky, looking for authentic distillers with character. They didn't just find Donnie and Teresa, they struck Appalachian gold. Donnie was skeptical at first. "Ain't no way I'm letting some city folk film me doing something that's technically illegal," he said, arms crossed, one eyebrow cocked like a Winchester rifle. But Teresa, ever the savvy one, leaned in. "Donnie, honey, if folks are gonna talk about us, they might as well pay us too." And with that, the Beattyville Hillbillies made their national debut. Viewers were immediately hooked. Whether it was Donnie explaining the physics of a thump keg with the accuracy of a country engineer, or Teresa rigging up a cooling coil out of a repurposed radiator and some duct tape, they were real, they were raw, and they were ridiculously fun to watch. It's still like no other Donnie, and Teresa still is a marvel, part rust, part brilliance. It's cobbled together from old water heaters, copper pipe, pressure cookers, and love. They call her Old Sweetie. She ain't the prettiest, but she purrs like a catfish on a summer's day, Donnie says, patting the side like it's a prized hog. Their setup is deep in the woods, surrounded by camouflage netting and the lingering smell of fermented corn. They've got a lookout system involving walkie-talkies, a squirrel named Hank, who somehow alerts them when people are nearby, and an old raccoon trap rigged to trip a string of cowbells. It's half redneck ingenuity, half Tom Sawyer fantasy, and all 100% Donnie and Teresa. Dynamic duet really sets the Beattyville Hillbillies apart, though, is their chemistry. Donnie is loud, unpredictable, and as stubborn as an old mule. Teresa is fiery, quick-witted, and dangerously smart with a blowtorch. Together, they're a moonshining yin and yang. Every episode is a masterclass in marital mayhem and mountain liquor making. 1 minute, they're lovingly dancing in the glow of a cook fire. The next, they're hollering about whether Donnie overcooked the mash. It's not a dang stew, Donnie. It's the kind of bickering that only comes from years of knowing each other inside and out. Fans love them because they're real. Donnie may wear overalls and a straw hat, but he's sharp as a tack under that hillbilly facade. Teresa might throw a wrench at him 1 minute, but the next she's singing mountain lullabies while bottling cinnamon apple shine with a label that reads, From Teresa's Kitchen with Love, and a kick. Recipes of the ridge their creations have taken on a cult following. Donnie's Coal Dust Black Cherry is rumored to have a smoky finish that can put hair on your chest and then braid it. Teresa's Blueberry Moon Mist is sweet, smooth, and more dangerous than a first date with a bull rider. They've even dabbled in limited seasonal releases, like their infamous Holiday Hobnog, a buttery concoction made with nutmeg, brown sugar, and a dash of hogwash bourbon. It sells out in minutes, when you can find it at all. Trouble with the law. And loss, of course. No Moonshiners' tale is complete without a little run-in with Johnny Law. Donnie and Teresa have had more close calls than a squirrel at a four-way stop. They've escaped raids thanks to hidden forest trails, tree camouflage stills, and once a canoe disguised as a pile of leaves. One unforgettable episode had Teresa sweet-talking a wildlife officer who'd stumbled too close to their sight. She distracted him with a story about a missing possum with one eye, while Donnie hid a case of bottles behind a hollowed-out log. When asked later if they were scared, Teresa just laughed. "Shoot, I've been married to Donnie for 2 decades. That's the real danger." The people's shiner sits not just the moonshine that keeps people watching. Donnie and Teresa are the people's champions. They open their home for community fish fries, donate jars to local fundraisers, and teach younglings the old ways, with just enough modern flair to keep it safe. They've started mentoring a new generation of shiners, including their niece, Ellie Mae, who's already being called the Moonshine Princess of Kentucky. Donnie beams when he talks about her. She's got my gumption and Teresa's brains. She'll take the family shine into the future. Teresa just grins. She better not forget the cinnamon sticks. Fame and family now semi-celebrities, the Beattyville Hillbillies have been invited to festivals across the South, from Carolina hoedowns to Tennessee taste-offs. They've got merch. Hillbilly Heat t-shirts, coonskin cap bottle toppers, and even autographed jugs, empty, of course, unless you find them at a certain general store after dark. But despite the attention, they haven't let fame change them. They still live in the same holler, still use the same still, and still argue over whether the mash smells like heaven or hog slop. "We ain't in it for the fame," Donnie says. "We're in it for the shine." "And each other," Teresa adds, rolling her eyes but reaching for his hand all the same. Legacy of liquor and Loviers, the seasons roll on and new Moonshiners rise and fall. Donnie and Teresa remain the heartbeat of the Moonshiners family. They're a little wild, a little weird, and a whole lot wonderful. Because at the end of the day, it ain't just about the alcohol. It's about the love, the laughter, and the legacy of the Appalachian Way. Donnie and Teresa embody that spirit better than anyone. So if you find yourself in the backwoods of Beattyville, follow the scent of corn mash, the echo of laughter, and maybe, just maybe, you'll catch a glimpse of the Beattyville Hillbillies, hard at work, pouring a little piece of mountain magic into every jar. And if you're lucky, they'll hand you a sip and say, "Welcome to the holler, darlin'. This here's the good stuff." Donnie and Teresa, the Beattyville Hillbillies, everyone's favorite Moonshiners duo nestled in the folds of the Kentucky hills, where the fog settles like a wool blanket and the trees whisper secrets older than America itself. There lives a duo that's more legendary than the moonshine they grew. Meet Donnie and Teresa, better known to fans of Discovery Channel's Moonshiners as the Beattyville Hillbillies. They're loud, proud, and as southern as a skillet full of gravy. And they've earned their place as everyone's favorite backwoods bootlegging couple. What started as a love story between two fiery spirits with a taste for the strong stuff has evolved into a nationally beloved tale of rebellion, tradition, and deep-fried charm. Their moonshine isn't the only thing with a kick, so are their personalities. From the holler to the headlines long, before the world saw them bickering over mash temperatures and lugging barrels through the woods, Donnie and Teresa were just a couple of kids growing up in Lee County. Beattyville ain't much to outsiders, just a few gas stations, one blinking stoplight, and a whole lot of forest. But for Donnie and Teresa, it was a kingdom. Donnie's roots go deep. His granddaddy, Old Buck Callahan, ran moonshine back in the Depression, delivering jars of apple pie shine by mule cart. He taught me everything I know, Donnie often says, and a few things I had to unlearn too. Teresa, meanwhile, was raised in a house where canning peaches and distilling dandelion wine was second nature. Her mother was an herbalist and midwife, and her daddy fixed tractors and trucks with chewing gum and gospel music. I was born to raise a little hell and a lot of hooch, Teresa likes to say with a wink. Their paths crossed at a local bluegrass festival when Donnie mistook Teresa's cooler of lavender wine for sweet tea. One sip later, he was hooked on the wine and the woman. They married the next spring, in a meadow full of wildflowers and fiddles. Is still called Betsy the Heart of Donnie, and Teresa's operation is their handmade still, a beautiful beast of copper coils and repurposed truck parts known affectionately as Betsy. Built over years with ingenuity, sweat, and probably a few unprintable curse words, Betsy is both a work of art and a living piece of family heritage. She's a bit temperamental, Donnie admits. Kinda like my wife. Teresa shoots him a look. Except I don't spit.